From the rooter to the tutor. That's one of my favorite lines, although obviously I can't say it the same way that he said it, but from that movie, what the fuck? It's Eddie Murphy, David Alan Grier, I think Martin Lawrence is in it. Boomerang. When they're talking about what the hell is his name? The dad from Friday. He was in that movie. I just can't think of his name all of a sudden. Why does this sound so goddamn loud? I don't know. When he's talking about, like, you know, you gotta coordinate. I can't do his fucking accent, okay? If you're tuning in and you're like, hey, I need to hear some fucking impressions, you're on the wrong fucking podcast. I can't, I don't do impressions. You know, I give it my best shot, but end of the fucking day, you know, I'm no fucking Michael Winslow over here. And for those of you like, well, who the fuck is Michael Winslow? You're either too fucking young to know the reference, or I'm too fucking old to be referencing it. It's the guy from fucking the Police Academy movies that does all the fucking sound effects and shit. I think his name is Michael Winslow. I could be wrong, you know. But yeah. The fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah. So, you know, it's just one of my, I don't know. Every time I hear that fucking line, it makes me laugh, because he's talking about, as far as like cooking pig, right? That they've cooked everything from the rooter to the tutor. And, yeah, just saying that, it makes me fucking smile. But, anyway, this is the effing podcast, for the new people that might be tuning in. I know I didn't do a fucking podcast last week. At least I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I don't fucking know. And I do know that this will be the first podcast of this week, being released. You know, usually I do a couple of these a week, but lately I have been uninspired. I mean, I have recorded podcasts, I just haven't released them because it just, I don't know, they didn't feel like they were up to snuff. So, I don't know, maybe one day I'll do like a fucking, what is it when like when a band fucking releases music that's never been released before. I don't know what the term is, but, you know, maybe one day I'll just say fuck it, you know. Except, you know, it won't be like good stuff. It'll be like some of the worst fucking material I've ever fucking produced on this fucking podcast. Which, you know, I'm not going to pretend like this is even a good podcast. You know, I'm not, you know, who the fuck am I? I'm just some dude in this fucking dining room, you know, talking on a fucking microphone in this house. You know, I'm not a famous fucking comedian or you know, musician or fucking actor. Well, I was going to say actress. Well, of course I'm not a fucking actress, but, you know, I'm fucking nobody. I'm just somebody who was like, you know what? I feel like the world needs to listen to me fucking run my yap for about an hour or so. But yeah, I don't know. I'm lost in my fucking thoughts today. And the reason is, and I think it's, unfortunately, this podcast is going to be kind of fucking heavy today, but I think the reason that I'm so lost in my thoughts is that I'm a little concerned about my daughter. She is, you guys tell I'm fucking reaching for something. Wait, I gotta put you guys on pause. I'm sorry, hold on. Okay, I'm back, sorry. Sorry, I had a business call I had to take care of, but, what the fuck was I talking? I was talking about my daughter. I'm a little worried about her because, I can't tell, you know, she's a teenager, right? She's, 15 or turning 15 this year. And, I can't tell, like, she's like very, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell if she's like the typical fucking like mopey teenager or or is there like, or is she really fucking like depressed and filled with fucking anxiety and shit? And, it concerns me because, I mean, not that I even am worried that like, oh, is she going to kill, it's not at that fucking level. It's just, I mean, when you have kids, you want them to be happy and you want them to do or you want to do whatever you can to sort of help them find their happiness. And a lot of the times she just seems very unhappy. And, like the thing that concerns me, right, is because, like, for those of you that have listened to this podcast before, this isn't going to be like brand new news for you, but for any new listeners that might be listening, like, I have OCD and bipolar, right? I was diagnosed with OCD, pretty young, but I wasn't medicated, right? And the bipolar thing didn't really show up until I was about 18, 19, but up until that point, I'd always kind of been very miserable, right? But yeah, like I was diagnosed with OCD, and I didn't have the typical OCD that everybody assumes, right? Like I am fucking neat, but I'm not, I'm not fucking, crazy with it. Everybody, for some reason, like people's like, oh, I'm neat, I'm clean, so therefore I must have OCD. Like that, there are so many different types of OCD that, that people are just unaware of. They're just usually, when people hear OCD, they think of the typical, like either I can't fucking walk through a door without flipping light switches, which, as a kid, I actually did sort of have that problem, but most people associate it with that type of stuff, or having to wash your hands a million times, or being like fucking beyond anal retentive over over a mess. That's just the type of OCD that has been not hyped, but featured most in like movies and TV shows. So when people think of OCD, that's immediately what they go to. And I'm not going to say that like I don't have, I just told you, like, yeah, the light switch flipping, that used to be a problem for me. Being clean when I was younger was a bigger deal to me than it is now. But I wouldn't like lose my shit if a mess were to happen. I would say probably the biggest thing, and I've said this on the podcast before, probably the biggest hindrance I would have is walking to school, because I have a tendency to count my steps. Not as much anymore, but as a kid, that was kind of my thing. I would count my steps, and if I messed up or, got distracted or forgot where I was, at as far as the count, I'd have to go all the way back to the beginning and start all over. Well, needless to say, there were, this caused a lot of fucking problems walking to school in the morning. If I would get like almost to school and then get distracted and forget what number I was on, I'd have to walk all the way back. And so I was late to class quite a bit as a kid. I also had a thing where I had to, like, if I was crossing the street and if a car was coming, I would have to make it to the other side of the street and be facing the direction of whichever way I was heading before the car passed me. And if that didn't happen, I would have to recross the street and wait for another car to be basically in the same position it was the first time, and then try the whole thing over and over again until it worked out perfect. So needless to say, it was kind of fucking a hindrance. Maybe one of the reasons that my mom was such a fucking monster to me was because she had to deal with this. I don't know. But what I do know is, like during those times, I wasn't medicated. I had been diagnosed, but I wasn't medicated, because my mom was afraid that, you know, I don't know what her fucking fears were, but, I wasn't medicated. I didn't get on medication until, a lot later in life, kind of, I don't want to say when it's too late, because obviously it's never too late, to, if you need it, there's never too late to be medicated. Okay. And I know there's a lot of people out there that, maybe you're, in your 30s or 40s or whatever, and you're like, fucking, it isn't for me. I think the biggest concern that people have about taking medication is they're worried that, it's going to turn you into a fucking zombie, or you're not going to be yourself anymore, or whatever, and unfortunately, just like with the OCD thing, a lot of people get their information via fucking TV shows and movies where they show that, there used to be like this person that was so full of life and energy, and then they fucking took a pill and suddenly they're, they're barely fucking functional. That isn't fucking true. I will say, or I will be honest though, like when you first start medication, because your doctor isn't going to know, or your psychiatrist or really your psychiatrist, because psychologists can't really fucking prescribe medication, but your psychiatrist isn't going to know, which medicine will work for you, right? So you end up, sometimes they nail it right off the back. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes you take something like when I first started medication, I had to go through like 3 or 4 before we found the right one. And, there were some that just, they made me like too fucking sleepy and groggy or whatever. And, there was others that just like for somebody that's got bipolar, disorder, one would fucking, it would like wind me up, right? I'd get fucking like, it would almost put me in a manic fucking stage, which can be pretty fucking scary because, I've gone through a manic stage before, like a full blown one. And, while you're in it, everything feels great, but then when the eventual lows show up, you start to realize like, God damn, I said I was what? Or I tried to do what? It's just, it sucks. So when I took that particular medication, and I don't remember exactly what it was, it made me feel fucking manic. So it took me it took the doctor a while to figure out what was good and like the dosage and all of that. I'm now on Zoloft and it's fucking awesome. But, one of the things that I won't lie to you about is that, yeah, for like a week or 2, you're gonna feel a little fucking off. And the reason for that is because it's, your brain is trying to adjust to these medications, and these medications are, they're sort of changing the chemistry in your brain, not in a bad way, but like for me, right, with the OCD and the bipolar, like, I have like an overabundance of serotonin, right? Or I think it's an overabundance of serotonin. So I have to take an SSRI, which, you know what, I better fucking, I don't know why I don't know this. My fucking, my field in life is fucking, as far as work, is psychology. I should fucking know this shit. I'm gonna put you on hold just to fucking re-verify it, but, hold on a second. Okay, I was wrong. I was actually thinking of a different neurotransmitter, but, basically, for me, I would have like a normal release of serotonin, except it wouldn't stay in the synaptic gap, which I know this is like shock or shop talk to some of you, but it wouldn't stay long enough in, how do I almost said dumb it down. I don't know. It wouldn't stay where it needed to be long enough for me to have a normal fucking life, I guess. I mean, I'm simplifying it way more than it needs to be, but that is basically it. So, I take or I have I'm on an SSRI. So what that does is it basically blocks certain channels within the synapse from absorbing like not blocks it, but it sort of slows down the absorption of serotonin so that I have so that it is in the synaptic gap a lot longer. Basically what it does is it sort of takes like it basically just kind of normalizes, right? Between what I used to fucking, or what used to be going on, to now I have like a normal sort of, it's hard to fucking describe this stuff without getting into like technical terms, but, everybody has sort of like a medium, right? Where, there's enough, serotonin and other neurotransmitters in these areas that their life is, a little more balanced. I mean, yeah, of course, everybody has their ups and downs and shit, but, as far as like, your reactions to things and other stuff, a lot of, I'm trying my best to make this, as easy or as understandable as possible. But, everybody, or not everybody, but most people have sort of a balanced amount of these neurotransmitters and, and the amount of time that they spend where they're supposed to, or, the amount of time that the neurotransmitters are supposed to spend in the area that they're supposed to be. With me, they weren't in that area long enough. So, because of that, it was causing my reactions and other things to take place that, obviously are considered, I hate to put it this way, but, abnormal, right? So now what the medication has done is it's kind of brought me back, or brought me to, I guess the medium, the balance. Right. So now I don't fucking have to go through some of the things that I was doing, that I can now sort of control my emotions more. Am I different? I'm different only in the aspect that like I can see when something is causing me anxiety or whatever, and I can deal with it rather than it just completely taking over to the point where I don't even feel like I have control of my own fucking mind. Now, yeah, I mean, certain things that would rile me up or whatever, they still happen, but now I can be like, okay, relax. It's not that fucking serious. Right. But anyway, long fucking story, even longer apparently. For like a week or two, you're going to feel a little off. But then when you come out of that, I mean, life for me has been it's vastly fucking different, right? To the point where, I know I was, like beginning to say like, oh, I wasn't medicated until it was too late. And it's the wrong way to fucking put it, because it's never too fucking late. But I kind of wish that I had been medicated a lot earlier, because there's a lot of shit that I could have fucking avoided had I fucking been medicated. And so to bring this back to my daughter, because a lot of these, these mental illness things, a lot of it is genetic. And, and I worry about my kids, fucking having to go through some of the shit that I went through. And sometimes I wonder, like, okay, is she just just a typical mopey fucking teenager that, sooner or later will come out of the fucking fog and everything won't be a fucking crisis? Or is this like early stages of something, and should I fucking, should she be medicated? So I've been bouncing back and forth with that, trying to figure out like what's the best fucking route to go, because, like looking at it from somebody that, with experience, it's like, well, now that I am medicated and now that things are sort of fucking in balance, I really wish that when I was younger, I had been medicated sooner. But then at the same time, there's the part of me that's like, well, yeah, that would have been great, because maybe that would have sidestepped a lot of the fucking landmines that I stepped on. But would my young brain have been able to handle that? Because there's one of those things you don't want to give kids, and unfortunately it happens all the fucking time, but like, you don't want to give children medication that messes with their fucking brain chemistry, especially when their brain is still fucking developing, right? The unfortunate thing is that it's usually during those fucking times, especially when they turn teenagers, where, if they needed to be medicated, that was probably the best time for them. But, so it's one of those things where it's like, well, is it something that needs to be medicated, or is it just your typical, I'm fucking depressed at the world, everything's a fucking crisis? I'm having a fucking hard time trying to figure that out. And and then of course you walk the fucking, the little fucking tightrope, right? Like, okay, should she at least maybe talk to a therapist? And how do I approach that with her without it sounding like there's something wrong with her, right? Like just the other day, right? We, I don't know, for some reason when she was in elementary school, she was, pretty carefree. There was no fucking issues. Then she got to middle school, and it seemed like suddenly, I won't rule out the fact that, okay, she, obviously she goes through puberty, things fucking change. Obviously they're not going to stay the same fucking way the entire time. I will say that, right? But when she was in elementary, she had no problem with wearing shorts and, and just wearing a shirt and no jacket or whatever. I mean, of course, if it was, wintertime, of course, she's going to be wearing the proper fucking attire or whatever. But, during the summer, she didn't really give a shit. Then she gets to middle school and suddenly she doesn't want to ever wear fucking shorts. She doesn't want to show her legs, and she's wearing fucking sweaters. And the worst thing is she's wearing fucking these heavy fucking hoodies when it's 80, 90 fucking degrees outside. So I know she's not comfortable. And I've tried my best. When she was in middle school, I was like, dude, you gotta stop wearing the fucking sweater. This doesn't make any sense. There's no fucking way that is comfortable, And then, of course, now she's in high school and she's doing the same thing. And I finally was like, okay, what's going on? Because when I would ask her about it before, she'd be like, well, it's really cold in the classes. They have the AC up really, really high or whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, it makes sense if you're cold inside. If the AC is cold, I get it. But there's no AC out in fucking nature. It's burning fucking hot. I'm sweating. I'm wearing fucking shorts and a t-shirt and I'm fucking burning up. There's no fucking way. I mean, I don't talk to her like this, but it's there's no fucking way that you're still cold, so what is going on? And, and she just wouldn't she just kept saying I don't know. I don't like to show my arms or whatever. Right. And then I was just did somebody during middle school, did somebody make a comment that made you feel like you now need to fucking cover up? Is that what it is? Is the concern something physical with you, that you're, that's what's messing with you? Because I was there's no fucking way that you're cold during the fucking day. I mean, I would say there's a possibility if she was rail thin and, anorexic and anemic, because, people that are anemic and anorexic, they're always fucking cold because their body just isn't working the way it should. But, you know, she's not anywhere near that. And she was just like, you know, it took a while, but she finally fucking broke down and was like, well, I don't like that, you know, like, cause she's put on some weight or whatever. And she's like, you know, like, I don't fucking like the way I look. And, you know, it's just the shit that you never want to fucking hear from your daughter. You know, boys don't usually go through this. I mean, they do, but I don't know. We're fucking brought up to just sort of fucking deal with it. Like, oh, you don't like the fact that you're, you know, fat or too skinny. Well, go to the fucking gym and lift weights and, you know, and fix all of that. You know, and for some boys that works. For others, it, you know, it morphs from fucking getting muscles to now I need to put a fucking loud ass stereo in my car and I need to drive a fucking Hummer or some shit. You know, I mean, there's just lots of fucking issues that we all go through, right? But with girls, it's a little bit different, right? Because girls, you know, since the time that they're fucking born, you know, they have constantly all these fucking ads and shit, you know, and pictures and movies and TV shows that, you know, that are constantly just trying to fuck with their self-esteem. You know, they're always like, oh, you're not fucking thin enough, or you're not pretty enough, or you need some fucking makeup, or you need to wear these kinds of clothes in order to be, you know, considered fucking, you know, acceptable or whatever. I mean, you know, it happens to boys, but it's a lot worse for girls. And it is fucking heartbreaking that my daughter is now at that stage where she is becoming very, body conscious. I mean, you know, she's not fat. You know, she's thick. I mean, and not even thick in like the way that some of you fucking sick fucks are thinking. I mean, she's just, you know, she's got a little meat on her bones, but it's not ridiculous. It's not fucking, you know, like she isn't even in the what I would call like the unhealthy fucking sphere of having weight on yourself. You know, she's just not she's not fucking skinny. That's all it is. And, you know, so her remedy towards that has been, well, I'm just going to fucking, you know, cover up. I'm going to put on, you know, I'm going to wear these fucking sweaters even though I'm miserable, you know, and that sort of like, cause like I know like, when she was in middle school, like one of her complaints was like, oh, you know, like I sweat too much. And then, you know, like if I wear a shirt, like it's going to show that I've got these sweat marks. And it's like, well, dude, you wouldn't have the fucking sweat marks if you take the fucking sweater off. I mean, you know, but I mean, but like now that she's actually said it, like, okay, I get it now. And it's just been sort of this like circular fucking problem, right? Like she doesn't like the fact that she sweats too much, but she's also upset with her body. So she covers up, which makes her sweat too much. So, you know, it's one of those fucking scenarios where it's like, fuck, you know, like you hate, like I hate the fact that she feels any kind of fucking negative way about herself, you know, and we spent about, you know, like an hour and a half talking about it. You know, she's crying and stuff, and it's real fucking sad. And, you know, and it's just been fucking with me because it's like now, like, okay, like going back to the medication thing, like, all right, is she like, is the body image thing what's like the root behind even the sort of mopiness, or is it just teenage fucking angst? Like, what the fuck is it? So it's like, I can't figure it out. What I did do is I told her, look, you know, we're going to start, you know, cause I mean, I'm fucking trying to, you know, lose some poundage and shit. I was like, you know, starting now, you know, or really like, you know, starting in a couple of days, because, you know, she's, I don't know, you know, she has her fucking monthly woman thing and, you know, she doesn't want to do anything. So I'm like, okay, you know, starting on Monday, assuming that that's all fucking taken care of, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to do some sort of fucking exercise. You know, we're going to, you know, I was like, well, let's just fucking jump rope, right? Because I watch YouTube. I see all the time. It's like, you know, these fucking YouTube channels where they like, that's pretty much all they fucking do is jump rope. And I was, you know, I've seen a couple of videos where people have lost like hundreds of fucking pounds just jump roping. So I'm like, all right, let's do that. Let's get you to a place where you feel good about yourself, you know, so that you don't have to, you know, to wear a fucking sweater when it's 100 degrees outside, you know. let's just do that. And, and she agreed. So it's like, all right, starting next week, we're going to do that. And, it turns out that my son, wants to do it. So we're just going to do it as a group. Right. Which is always good when you can find ways to fucking bond as a family. But, while at the same time, doing something, extremely not that bonding isn't beneficial, but, it's just one of those things where it's like, it's sort of a double fucking whammy, right? You can do something that, fucking causes you guys to get closer, but it also has the added effect of, making sure that you don't fucking drop dead of a heart attack. So, for those of you that are like, well, what the fuck? Why haven't I gotten any podcasts, in the past week or so? It's because I've been dealing with that kind of shit where I'm just like, it's hard to be funny or even to try and be funny. And I'm not going to pretend like every podcast I put out there is just a fucking chuckle fest. I know that there's a lot of times that even when I'm not dealing with heavy shit, it's hit or miss, but it's even harder to try and be funny on the podcast when I'm dealing with this stuff because it concerns my kids. Like if it was just me, I could push through it, and just fucking sort of energy my way through podcasts. But because it's my kid, it's just like, well, I just don't feel fucking funny. And now, like I said, I have recorded like 2 or 3 fucking podcasts that I just never fucking put out there because it's just like, what it fucking felt like? It felt like I was trying to do something while avoiding the actual fucking problem. And I could just like, and when I would listen to it, it's like, yeah, this is you just trying to force shit out there. So I decided, I'm not going to release those ones and I'll do this one. And even though this one is pretty fucking heavy, I feel like, okay, this is authentic. This isn't like me trying for the fucking easy laugh or whatever. This is authentic. This is shit that, that a lot of people fucking go through. Whether you have kids or you are just somebody that fucking isn't happy with themselves or you're somebody that feels like, well, could probably benefit from at least speaking to a therapist, but I don't want to because of the fucking taboo or whatever the fuck it is. I get it. I was fucking there with you. But now, and I've been medicated for years now, but I can say that if there are people out there that the only reason that you're not doing it is because you're worried that, I'm going to be a fucking zombie or I'm not going to be able to fucking do the things that I normally do or, that's bullshit. You're still yourself. For the first like week or 2, yeah, you're going to be a little off. You're going to be a little fucking groggy. You're going to just feel sort of disconnected from yourself and from the world. That is sort of normal, And unfortunately, sometimes you have to figure out, there's lots of things that go with being medicated. Number one is finding the right medication, right? Sometimes you have to go through a couple of them to sort of figure out, all right, those aren't working, but this one does. So then, you got to find that out, but then you also have to figure out what's the right dosage, For me, I started off on a very low dosage of pretty much every medication that I've been on, even the Zoloft and the Seroquel now. And unfortunately, at least for me, and this doesn't happen to everybody, so I don't want to scare anybody off, but like for me, like I need, at least with the Zoloft, I need the maximum fucking dosage because anything less than that, it just doesn't work as well. It works, but just not as well. For the Seroquel, like I'm still good. I'm a little higher dosage than the typical, but I'm not at like the fucking max either, But, if you are one of these people that's just like, nah, fuck that. I don't want to, I don't want to change who I am or I don't want to be somebody else. Yeah, you do. You do, but not the way that you're thinking, right? You want to be somebody else in the sense that you want to fucking rid yourself of the shit that's holding you back, right? Or the stuff that's causing problems in your life. You want to be different there. But, you know, you're thinking that the medication, I mean, maybe, I don't know, I'm just fucking throwing shit against the wall here. But, you know, that maybe you're concerned that you'll take these pills and yeah, it'll calm the shit that's causing havoc in your life. But now you're going to, like, your personality is going to be fucking different. No. I mean, at least from me or for me and for other people that I know that, you know, that I knew even like before and after the fucking medication, nothing has fucking changed except the stuff that was like causing the issues that is sort of had the volume turned down, right? You can still have, I mean, you still, you know, I mean, you're still a normal person. You're still going to have, you know, some of the same thoughts or feelings or whatever. It's just that now instead of it becoming overwhelming to the point where you can't control it, you can be like, all right, this is what's causing the problem. I need to fucking step back or just drop it or chalk it up to, you know, I'm fucking like me. I joke like, you know, I'm crazy. I'm a nut, you know. I call myself a fucking nut all the fucking time. You know, for me, that works because I'm joking with myself. I don't really think I'm a fucking nut, but, you know, I'm not going to pretend like I'm fucking normal either. Or at least the so-called definition of fucking normal. You know, I mean, yeah, I got my fucking issues, you know, but I can deal with them now. And I feel like, well, you know, I kind of wish I'd gotten on the medication a little sooner because there was things like once you get sort of clear headed, you sort of like, well, fuck, man, you know, that's kind of the why or the reason why I did X, Y, and Z. And, you know, or at least you want to tell yourself that that's, the reason for it. I mean, who knows? You know, maybe if I was fucking medicated early on, maybe I still would have done all of those fucking things. I like to think that I wouldn't, just based on the fucking extreme difference between pre-medication and post. You know, yes, it sucked for the first couple of weeks, you know, trying to figure out what was best and all of that. Yeah, that fucking, you know, that sucked. But once I pulled through that, once I was like on the other side of that, I mean, fuck, everybody that knows me or knew me like intimately before I was medication, I mean, they're all like, fuck, it's like you're a totally different person, but not in a like, well, you're not you. It's just like, oh, you're actually a lot fucking calmer now, or you're a lot easier to fucking be around, or you're not fucking flying off the handle about this, that, or the other. It's just, I don't know how to fucking describe it. What I am saying is that if you're fucking letting, you know, Hollywood fucking movies and TV shows or just anecdotal shit that people say keep you from doing it, I'm telling you that's the wrong fucking path. You know, I mean, of course, the only time you're going to do it is when you are ready to fucking do it. So if you're not ready, then fine, you're not fucking ready. But what I am saying is that if you think that your situation is like hopeless, then I would say I disagree. I disagree 100%. You know, maybe you don't even need medication. Maybe you just need to talk to somebody that is just completely removed from your whole circle. Right? Sometimes that helps when you have like an unbiased ear. And it's actually somebody that actually wants to hear what's on your fucking mind, even the fucking dark, crazy shit. I mean, sometimes that fucking helps. You know. I don't know. It feels like this fucking podcast just became a PSA. I think I'm going to end it here. My apologies for I'm not going to fucking apologize. I was going through some shit, you know? Every now and then, you know, I got to fucking do my own thing and not be so concerned about this podcast. But anyway, I hope you had a good week. It is the weekend, so, you know, hopefully you got something fun going on, or maybe not. Maybe you're just going to fucking sit home and watch fucking Netflix. You know, whatever you're going to fucking do, I hope you enjoy it. All right? Just like always, don't take any shit and go fuck yourself. I almost fucked that up. Go fuck yourself. Peace.